Welcome back again. We don't have. We're not going to read this week Parsha. It's Parsha Shmini, but we're not going to read it. It's going to be pushed off for the next week because Pesach. So we'll say something about the Haggadah. In the Haggadah, we find the statement of Rabbi Menashe who says, "I am like 70-year-old man," even though we know that he was 18 years old. But he says, "I am like a 70-year-old man." Why did Rabbi Menashe say, "I'm like a 70-year-old man"? So the Talmud says, when Rabbi Menashe was asked to become head of the academy, he went and consulted his wife. He asked his wife, "Should I take the job or not?" So she said to him, "But you have no white hair." He was 18 years old. That day he became 18, so he didn't have white hair. So a miracle occurred for him, and 18 rows of hair on his beard turned white. That is why Rabbi Menashe said, "I am like 70-year-old man." That's the Gemara in Brachos 27b, tells us that story. So 18 hairs in his beard suddenly changed from black to white. Rashi says, he meant, "I already took elderly," but he was not really old. He began to look aged on the day that Rabban Gamliel vacated the leadership and he took office, and on that day Ben Zoma expounded this verse. So the moment that Rabban Gamliel vacated the job, he began to look aged. Arizal explains that if one adds the age of Rabbi Menashe, if one adds the age that Rabbi Menashe reached in his former incarnation to his present 18 years, it makes a total of 70. So Arizal knew his incarnation. So he said, if you're adding the 18 to 52, you get to 70. Right? So he said he probably in his reincarnation, in previous life, he passed away 52 years old.
Wow.
Why did Rabbi Menashe bemoan that despite having reached old age, he did not marry to fully fathom the law, when in fact he was not old at all? What did he say? I'm like 70 years old, and I did not marry to say, so I did not marry to say the Shema at night. So why are you bemoaning? Why are you're still a young man? You're only 18 years old. So the answer is that spiritually speaking, he was old. As a result, writes that he carried 52 years from a previous incarnation, and that is why he miraculously sprouted white hair. As the Talmud states, to demonstrate that this spiritual superiority had permeated his conscious, bodily existence to the extent that even his hair was old. So the Kabbalah teaches that, like Rabbi Menashe, most of us are incarnations of souls that lived in previous generations. It's written in Shara Gilgulim, the Gates of Incarnation, speaks at length of this subject. So the lesson from this passage of the Haggadah is that as latter generations Jews, we have an elevated spiritual potential by virtue of the good deeds performed by our former selves. Good deeds performed by our former selves in previous incarnations, and since only good persists but not evil, good endures and persists but not evil, so we have only to benefit from our soul's past history. So we're not carrying baggage, God forbid, we're only carrying good things from previous incarnations, because only good persists. The evil it goes away. So the evil, if God forbid there was any evil that was done in the past life, it goes away. So you're starting new, you're starting fresh. The only thing that you're not starting new is the good deeds. They continue with you because good stays. And he writes, no wonder then.
You're missing deeds, though.
No. If let's say a person accumulated in his previous life, like Rabbi Menashe was 52 years old in previous reincarnation, and he accumulated 1,000 pounds of good deeds, a tremendous amount of good deeds. So he's coming with that baggage. He's coming with this positive luggage with him into this new life. So they say, okay, what about the bad deeds? So Rabbi Menashe obviously was a tzaddik, but regular people, they're also, Kabbalah tells us, they're also coming with the past life experiences, only positive ones. So he said, what about the negative ones? So he answers, negative ones don't last. They go away. Only good persist. So no wonder then that we will be the generation to finally bring Mashiach, since we are charged with spiritual potential from all our illustrious forefathers and ourselves. So we're coming, the Rebbe writes it in the Likutei Sichos, volume 1, page 246. He writes this concept that the reason why our generation is the generation to bring Mashiach, we will be the generation to finally bring Mashiach, is because we are charged with all the spiritual potential from all of our ancestors and forefathers. And with that, we'll go to the portion on Geula. It can be found on page 141. Sunday. This is how you shall eat: your loins girded, speaking about the Paschal offering, your shoes on your feet, or referring to matzah, and your staff is in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is a Passover sacrifice to God. Paschal offering, the matzahs, the meat. Book of Shemos, book of Exodus 12, chapter 12, verse 11. There are two types of sticks. The first is Moshe's stick. Moshe had a stick. Yeah, he had a stick. He had a staff with him.
Converted into a snake and all that.
Right, yeah. So he used it on
a living stick.
He used it for many things. So it derives from the tree of knowledge, from the tree of knowledge, good and evil. So this stick that Moshe Rabbeinu used came from the tree of knowledge. It's a branch from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. From the evil in the stick, Moshe fell into the sin of the waters. He subsequently received a stick from the tree of life instead, and an even greater type of stick of Yaakov, and that of Mashiach. The stick of Mashiach is not to punish the wicked or to incite the Yetzer Tov in anger against the Yetzer Hara. None of this will apply in the future era, because all evil will be removed. Rather, Mashiach's stick is described in Tilim. The staff of your might, God will send from Zion, rule in the midst of your enemies. It represents alacrity, fast, doing things quickly, dominion over everything, and that even Mashiach enemies will seek to make peace with him. So we see there are different kinds of sticks. The stick that came from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, was ultimately Moshe Rabbeinu used it to hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock. But then he was handed with the tree of life, and then ultimately will be handed with the tree of Yaakov, and the highest level of a stick would be the stick of Mashiach, which will have no connection with negativity, with evil, only with alacrity. It represents alacrity, dominion over everything, and that even Mashiach enemies will seek to make peace with him. Bruchim Tiu. We'll have a short video on Ein Yaakov coming up soon.